and the platform to get in front of more local customers, all for one affordable monthly rate. The best part? No more sharing leads. Your ideal customer will come directly to you. Ready to get started? Go to townsquarelocal.com to use our free traffic estimator and see how many local customers your business could be reaching right now. See why we've been trusted by more than 100,000 small businesses. Go to townsquarelocal.com. That's townsquarelocal.com. And there you can use our free traffic estimator and see how many local customers your business could be reaching right now. Start growing your business today. townsquarelocal.com.
Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Friday edition of Game Night. We are back on your radio for the Power Hour on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, and you heard Mike Gill say multiple times this afternoon, we are less than 2 weeks away from the start of Eagles training camp. But until we get there, we got the Phillies back in action tonight, plus some more news on the James Harden front, or at least updates. We'll call it not even really news. It's more like updated information to get out there. And of course, this hour, we will do something a little differently than the teams that are in play right now, because we will talk with Thomas Cornflake LaManna, who will be defending his middleweight belt next Saturday at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. So we will get to all that and more coming up this hour. And of course, you guys can join the conversation as well at 609-403-0973. That is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. And see how from everything it sounded like me being back here in the studio, it sounded like the Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant Wawa was just jumping with everyone there. Glad to hear everyone had a good time down there, and the people got to sample one of the traditions of the Jersey Shore. I know for a lot of people, Yuri's is a staple of South Jersey life. It is something that is, when you think of Wildwood, Yuri's is one of the restaurants that typically comes up in conversation. So I'm glad to hear a lot of people got to go out and enjoy it, maybe some people for the first time as well. So, but let's get to the Phillies first, because, when you look at the Phillies coming back from the break, obviously the two biggest questions coming in are, when is Bryce Harper going to play first base? And what is this team going to go do at the deadline? And so it's sounding more and more, if you go by what Rob Thompson said to the reporters today, it sounds like Bryce Harper is going to be at first base soon. How soon, we don't exactly know, but it definitely sounds like you have a situation where you have to strongly consider, okay? You have to strongly be aware of the fact that this Bryce Harper situation, it's just not as simple as, hey, just put him at first base and get it over with. Look, this organization is paying this guy a lot of money. You're not paying this guy all of this money for him to just potentially get hurt again. That whole situation last Saturday when he got hit on the elbow batting, that was scary when you watch it run it back on the replay, because the replay gives you a closer look of how close that really was to maybe potentially being a problem. Now, the good news is the elbow is not taking any real damage. And at the end of the day, you can't just throw him at first base and just because you want to get Kyle Schwarber out of left field. You just can't do that. So what are the Phillies doing? Well, the Phillies did make a couple moves today that I think are telling about what their plans are moving forward. At least for me, it sounds like that Bryce Harper will be back at first base soon. Now, how soon, we'll see. But you don't make the corresponding moves you made with the roster today if you were not planning on Harper eventually getting the first base. So the Phillies recalled Drew Ellis and Johan Rojas from the minors. They put Christian Pache on the DL, retroactive to the 11th, which was earlier in the week. So, well, what's the significance of this? Well, they already had 2 different spots to fill on the roster with Josh Harrison going on the 10-day DL. Now they're putting Pache on the DL. And so now what you're seeing is the Phillies are already setting up. All right, we got Ellis to be another right-handed bat who can play first base, come in and be a DH, and do multiple things. But what you're also doing is bringing up a young prospect like Johan Rojas. And I find the Rojas decision very interesting because Rojas is one of the Phillies' top prospects. He is a guy who bats right-handed. He's primarily projected as a center fielder, but he is a guy who has been incredibly productive at Double-A. Now, that's the key word there. Double-A, not Triple-A, Double-A. Don't expect this guy to come up here and hit 306 with an on-base percentage of 361 like Rojas was doing at Double-A. But I do find it interesting the Phillies are willing to bring up a guy from Double-A instead of going and grabbing a Muzziotti or a Kingery from Triple-A. It tells you that this team is really intent on keeping the 40-man roster as is. This organization is really playing some musical chairs with this roster. Look what's going on with Noah Song. For those who don't know, Noah Song is currently on the 60-day injured list because he was their Rule 5 pick. He has a rehab assignment in Double-A this weekend. There's a strong possibility that the Phillies are just doing this musical chairs with the roster, with the 40-man, so they don't have to create any major overhauls or lose anyone. I think that's a huge reason why some of the guys are being called up and down who they are, because the organization is really trying hard to not kick anyone off of the 40-man roster. So I think that's the bigger deal here. I think the bigger deal is they are trying to manipulate this roster so they don't have to make any drastic changes. Now, look, I agree with a lot of you. I know some of you are sitting there listening on 97.3 ESPN FM or the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. The idea is that you don't want to just bring up Muzziotti and Kingery and kick somebody off the 40-man. I think Rojas is up here for 2 reasons. 1, because you don't want to mess with the 40-man too much. And 2, Rojas has an opportunity to showcase a little bit. Look, I know some people think that's ridiculous, and I get it. You know, we'll have to agree or disagree. The truth is that this is a great opportunity for the Phillies to say, this is one of our top prospects. Come at us with an honest offer. Because there is now speculation that the Phillies could be big-time buyers at the deadline. Now, what is necessarily a big-time buyer? I'm not 100% sure. I certainly don't think it's Shohei Ohtani, okay? I know that there are people who are speculating about that. I just don't think it would be good business sense for a guy like Dave Dombrowski, who has been telling us for a couple of years now that they are invested in their minor league system, that they are in on developing their young players, to sell off the entire farm system's best players to get a guy who may not even re-sign here. Personally, if I'm the Phillies, I don't want to trade for Shohei Ohtani. I refuse to trade a ton of assets for a guy who you can't re-sign in free agency. You got to the World Series last year with almost the same roster that you had this year that you had last year. Aside from you put Trey Turner in, you swap Rhys Hoskins out of the lineup, and you have a better bullpen this year. That's really the only difference. So for me, I'm not going to sit here and give up a ton of players and the future for a guy I can't re-sign. But I do think that there is a possibility that Rojas is up here because you're going to trade for somebody. Who that player is, I don't know. But it sounds like more and more that the Phillies are not just going to go quietly into the night. The Phillies are not just going to go cheapo in this deadline. They're going to go out and get some legitimate people. And I hope that's true because I don't know if the Phillies fan base, you guys listening to me out there, like Steven Ventnor, who's already sent about 4 texts in at 609-403-0973. See, I'll get to you in just a minute. I don't know if you guys, the fans, are going to be okay with another Noah Syndergaard type of acquisition. I think that you are going to require more. You're going to insist on more from this team than that. As I said, I can't promise you what it is, but I feel comfortable saying that it isn't and shouldn't be Shohei Ohtani. All right, text board is open, 609-403-0973. Steven Ventnor, I promise I get to your messages. He says, yeah, Josh, even my grandmother knows that we need to get Schwarber out of left field. I like calling up a Rojas, though, that maybe showcasing him as part of a trade package, like you said. Rojas is essentially the same player as Pache at this point. I also think if the Angels trade Ohtani, that Dombrowski will ask about Trout. The Phillies are going to make a big move. That's from Steven Ventnor. The Trout thing is interesting because, I wanted to ask this question earlier, but, when Mike Gill and the Sports Bash are on location, I'm basically the man behind the curtain. I'm not even really visibly part of or audibly part of the show. But one of the questions I wanted to ask today was, if you're the Phillies, would you rather trade a bunch of players for a potential rental player or trade less players for Mike Trout, who's coming off of an injury? Because we know Mike Trout might not even be ready to go if you trade for him at the end of this month. You know what he is? He's under contract long term. He has a full no trade clause. Mike Trout, right now, in his age 31 season, has 7 more years left in the contract. He's a right-handed hitter. He can play left field. He can play center field. He's still one of the best players in baseball. I know he's been injured multiple times over the years, but if the Angels are willing to trade Ohtani, Steven Ventnor is right. You better call about Trout. And by the way, you already did the Angels 2 favors recently. You gave them Logan O'Hoppe and Mickey Moniak. And you got Syndergaard and Brandon Marsh out of it. As far as I'm concerned, the Angels owe you one. Doesn't even matter that Mike Trout hasn't played more than 130 games since 2009, in my opinion. He's coming off of an injury the 1 year. He played 119 a couple years ago, and in the year he had 119 games. You know how many homers he hit? He hit 40 homers. You hit 40 homers, 119 games. I'm getting that guy. I think Mike Trout for 110 games with 30 homers. So I don't care about the injuries. I don't care about any of that stuff. I love the fact that Trout is under contract control moving forward. And if I'm the Phillies, I tell the Angels, I've given you 2 great players. You owe me one. We'll get some more text messages a little bit later this hour. 609-403-0973. That is the text board. Coming up on the other side, we will talk with the main event next Saturday at Boardwalk Hall. Thomas Cornflake LaManna versus Juan Manuel Vitt for the middleweight championship at WBA. We'll talk to him next, coming up here on Game Night. 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Saturday morning in the locker with Billy Schwein. Mike Carlin joins me in the studio. The Phillies start the second half by hosting the Padres at the bank. We'll have reaction to Friday night's game. Hour 2, it's the Beach Patrol Report brought to you by McCann Realtors of Sea Isle City and the Ocean City Beach Patrol Lifeguard Alumni Association. We'll have all the results from the 54th Besh and Callahan Memorial Lifeguard races and interviews with some of the winners. Plus, hear from former lieutenant of the Ocean City Beach Patrol, John McShane. All that and more is the locker with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trademan can get you released. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
And now Martha Stewart for Skechers. When I make a dish or embark on a craft project, I always use the finest, most fabulous ingredients and materials. Which is why, when it comes to footwear, I love Skechers. Because Skechers is the comfort technology and materials and designs to make wondrously comfortable footwear with all the fits and features like Arch Fit and Skechers' world-famous air-cooled memory foam. It's exactly the way I'd make shoes.
Find Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Corvette, excludes fire sales.
This is it. The time has come for Bennett Chevrolet's biggest sale of the year. Bennett's Summer Sale Down Spectacular. First off, you get Bennett's exclusive GM supplier employee pricing on new Chevys. Yes, you pay what we pay, not a penny more. And unlike many other dealers, Bennett doesn't charge over MSRP. In fact, you can even get a new Chevy at thousands below MSRP. And there's available 1.9% financing. Looking for used? Our selection's never been better. Right now, Bennett is paying a record $10,000 minimum for any clunker towards any pre-owned in stock. That's a minimum 10 grand for any rack strap, any way you can get it to our lot. Chevy's non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So there's never any hassles or pressure. July is jumping all month long at Bennett Chevrolet during our summer sell-down spectacular. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Joining us right now to talk about the upcoming boxing event at Boardwalk Hall next Saturday. Doors open at 6 o'clock at Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall. It's Millville's Thomas Cornflake LaManna, who's defending his middleweight WBA featherweight championship in a 10-round main event versus Juan Manuel Vitt of Argentina. Of course, LaManna is the 4th-ranked middleweight in the world by the World Boxing Association. And he joins us right now here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Thomas, welcome in. How you doing today?
But I'm good, man. I'm hungry. I'm antsy. I'm excited. I'm just ready to get back in the ring and, just call home. You know what I mean? Get back to home.
You mentioned about being hungry and excited. We hear a lot of athletes talk about being hungry. What does hungry mean for you? Because you're someone who's been around this game for a while.
Yeah, man. I mean, so I literally mean I'm hungry, like I'm starving because I'm cutting weight, but I'm very hungry to, get back to where I was. Everybody knows a couple years ago I had a chance to fight for the world title, came up drastically short, and I'm just hungry to get back there. And God willing, since that loss, I'm now on fight number 6. This would be, God willing, number 6th win in a row. And, it'll be, like you said, I'm number 4 in the WBA. They have me in a great position. And just want to keep it going to get back to where I was. And, so that's the hunger and the drive in me to do that.
For you, you are in a situation right now where you get a chance to fight in South Jersey. You're from Millville, so you know Atlantic City very well. What does it mean to someone like you to get all the chances you have had to fight in Atlantic City?
No, it's a blessing. Obviously Atlantic City to the East Coast people is a very hot spot. It used to be the capital of boxing. You know what I mean? And for me to do it on a just on a consistent basis and not only promote but to fight is it's a blessing. It's a blessing for real, and I'm honored that I could also give those young up and coming fighters the opportunity to display their talent on this platform as well, because that's how I started. I was fortunate enough to start fighting, as a high schooler in the casinos at Bally's. I made my debut at Bally's, and I fought at Boardwalk Hall before as a high schooler. So it's like, I remember those days, and I'm grateful that I can give those same chances. So but it's really cool. It's very unique, very unique.
If someone was to ask you, Thomas, how did you get to where you're at now? Like what was the key for you to be someone who's won belts, who's got 35 wins as a professional boxer? How did you get to this point? I think a lot of people, they know your name, they know about, some of your fights, but maybe they don't know your story as much.
Sure. Man, the real honest answer is, bro, I just never quit. I just never stopped. You know what I mean? You say I had 35 wins, but I also have 5 losses as well. And those 5 L's, to me are like lessons, you know what I mean? And, the truth is, bro, I just never quit. I just kept it going. I kept my head on a swivel and just never stopped. It's very, very cliche, very cliche. It's like what everybody would say, but it's the ultimate truth, man. You just believe in yourself. I bet on me, and it got me to where I'm at. And the freaky part is like I'm not even done. You know what I mean? I'm 31 years young, and I'm at a peak point prime of my career. You know what I mean? It's kind of make or break. Come next Saturday. You know what I mean? Because God willing, everything goes good with this. I'm gonna close out the year strong, and then beginning of 2024. I want another world title opportunity, and I believe that's what's going to come. And it all just came from believing in myself, having a great team around me. I have my great family, my wife, my mother, you know what I mean? My management, the whole Rising Star team, and just never quitting, and just shaking the dust off, and just keep going.
Tickets are on sale right now at Ticketmaster.com and also over at the U.S. Army box office at Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall. Thomas Cornflake LaManna will be defending his middleweight strap against Juan Manuel Vitt of Argentina. Also, you mentioned you're also part of promoting the card. So how does that duality work? Because let's be realistic. Not a lot of people want to do what you're doing, which is fight and deal with the, shall we call it, the other stuff that goes into putting together a fight card.
Yeah, man. It's there's nothing nice. There's nothing good, but it comes with the territory. This is what I was chose to do. This is what I opted to do. This is what fortunately has been put in. I will provide for myself and my family. So this is the hurdles I got to go through. It just is what it is. But it's definitely unique. Nobody's doing it, which makes me the only one, which makes me somewhat special, makes me stand out a little bit. And but you want to know what, at the end of the day, no matter what, I think it's like I just said in the last question, and the answer is, when it's all said and done, and I'm giving opportunities to the young coming up, because I had it good when I started, like when I wasn't promoting or I was just fighting, I had it very good, and I want to give the same to them. And that's what means the most to me, because I was ultimately, although I'm not really anywhere near done, I'm closer to being done fighting than these young up-and-comers like Justin Figueroa. Like, he's on the undercard. He's a Atlantic City kid. He'll be fighting for years on past when I'm done. And I'm just glad that I could say, out of his 5 fights, 3 of them have been with Rising Star, and his debut was at Boardwalk Hall. And now his biggest fight to date against Jeff Lentz, who's a Egg Harbor Township guy. He's that that's going to be at the Boardwalk Hall as well. So this is an iconic building. It's where memorable things happen. In boxing, and not only myself but these young guys coming up, they're going to have the opportunity to be a part of history there, and that means everything to me. So it ain't easy. It's not. It's definitely not easy. It's stressful. It has a lot of hurdles to it. But I have a pretty decent team. I have one of the best people in my life. Well, actually, the best person in my life is my mother, who helps me out with a lot of things in turn. And on the background, I have my assistant, Alex, who takes care of a lot of legwork. And it just makes the matters easy, makes the job easy. And at the end of the day, at the end of next week, I should say, it will all be worth it. It will all be worth it when the show's over.
Well, you read my mind, because that's one of the fights I wanted to ask you about as well, aside from yours. So if you can keep that promoter's hat on for a minute, Figueroa is this rising talent, and he's fighting. Yeah. I mean, Jeff Lentz is probably one of the most unique matchups for a guy like Figueroa, because Lentz has that MMA background. He is 34, so he's got 2 different fighting experiences. He's got a lot of years in the ring, in the octagon. He's bringing that in with a guy like Figueroa, who is arguably one of the most interesting young talents in the region.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's so when the idea popped up, I was like, whoa, like this show needs something. Like, we're in the middle of summer. It's summertime in Atlantic City. This was obviously before the Boots Ennis fight came into town. But it was like the hot thing. And I said, I have a decent name and I have some notoriety, and Christian Pranger, the heavyweight, he's very well known. He's a top contender. But with this show needs something like a bang. And so it just hit me. I was like, Justin is going to be on the card. He has to step up. His management wants to step him up. And the right guy, the perfect guy for that is Jeff Lentz. And ironically enough, me and Jeff had spoke maybe a week or 2 prior to putting everything together, and he was back in the gym, and he's like looking to train, looking to fight. I'm sorry, he's training, he's looking to fight again, the whole 9 yards. And I'm just like, no, there's no way it can happen. But what they say in life, you don't even know until you ask, right? Mm-hmm. Closed mouths don't get fed. And one thing led to another. It took a couple of days, and it took a I wouldn't say no persuading, but ultimately at the end of the day, you know, Justin's manager, Jolene Mazzone, she's probably forgot more about boxing than what I'll ever know. You know what I mean? I think she you know, you just gotta, you know, tell her. I said, you know, like Jolene's like, it's the right fight at the right time. It's the right step. You know what I mean? It's the right step for Justin.
Right.
He has the momentum going. Jeff's been off for 4 or 5 years. He got stopped his last fight against, Jarrett Hurd, who obviously became unified champion, but he's been off. But Jeff Lentz is like, I've been in the ring with Jeff. I've been in the ring with both of them, actually. Jeff isn't nothing sweet. He's awkward as hell. He's strong. He's relentless. It's going to be a very interesting fight. Very, very interesting. And I'm glad that I could do it. I'm glad that I'll be able to say, you know, Rising Star did that, and people will have a treat. You know, Justin's on Instagram talking crazy. He believes in himself. He's very, you know, very energetic. You know what I mean? He's very hyped for the situation. He's fighting in his hometown against his biggest test, who happens to be where you could throw a rock from. You could throw a rock at Egg Harbor Township, you know? And Jeff Lentz, it's crazy. Like, I talked to him today. This is Friday the 14th. And he was like, bro, the kid has no idea, man. He's just setting himself up. I'm going to, like, I can't really say it on air, but like, I'm like, oh my God, like, it's going to be fireworks. That's a fight I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the whole night. I'm looking forward to my fight the most. But, you know, it's going to be a great night of boxing, and I just hope that, you know, we just continue the streak of Atlantic City boxing, you know, coming back. You know, this is the Boardwalk Boxing Series, the original Boardwalk Boxing, and yeah, it's onwards and upwards, continuing on the 22nd.
Is there any jokes about, you know, Figueroa is the lifeguard and Lentz is the MMA fighter? Is there any jokes about that going on here?
No, it's not really. No. It's I never looked at it like that. Jeff's a true professional. Jeff's also, you know, Justin is a young man. Jeff's a grown man. So like, he ain't playing into that. He's just like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, so I just got back from Arizona. I was in training camp in Arizona. I'm back in New Jersey now. But when I was out there, I was killing time. I was texting Jeff because I see Justin, you know, going on social media, you know, the videos and tagging Jeff and everything. And I think it's great. Like, I think it's amazing. That's the stuff I used to do when I was 5 and up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, Jeff, go back at him. Say something. Do a video. Promote. Do something.
Right.
And he was like, nah, bro, I'm not feeding into his games. He's gonna, like, I don't know. Again, I can't say what he said because, like, I don't think it's appropriate, but it's just, you know, Jeff knows something we don't know. That's all I can say. I think Jeff knows something we don't know. But I also believe in Justin. Justin's, you know, Justin is, it's weird. It's funny. Like, I'm not going to go out here and say he's my cousin, but he's, you know, his cousin's with my wife's cousin, if that makes any sense. So in that realm. For Justin, I'm proud of Justin for stepping up. I'm proud of Jeff for coming back after 5 or 4 years with a local prospect, with a prospect that has momentum. Keep in mind, Justin turned pro in August of last year, so we're talking this will be fight number 6 in less than a year, which is great momentum. That's excellent momentum, and that ain't easy to fight against. You know what I mean? It's Jeff's first. I'm sorry, it's Justin's first 6-rounder. Jeff's gone 6 multiple times, but you know, what would that layoff do? So, you know, it's a big ass question mark. But this is why we fight. This is why we fight the fights. This is what boxing is about. But you know, the best man will win. I'm favoriting the local guy, even though they're both local. You know what I'm saying? I'm favoring the local guy. Whoever it is, it is. I just want the fans to, you know, be able to enjoy it. I want Jeff to and Justin to, you know, enjoy the moment. I want all the fighters on the card just to enjoy the moment. This is all we have. This is the present. This is what we have. Is the moment, you know.
All right, so before I let you go, because you mentioned how, Jeff knows something that we don't. What I want you to do is talk to the audience for a moment. Tell them something that they don't know when they're going to get that ticket, walk in and see you fight next Saturday night. What do you want the audience to know?
Oh, man, yeah. So what I want the audience to know when they buy a ticket and they come see this excellent night of boxing and myself in particular boxing, fighting is, this is all I have. This is all I got going for me. Me and all the fighters, we're going to put our heart and souls into each minute of each round. You know what I mean? I'm on obviously a little bit of a different level than the people on the undercard with the world ranking and all that good stuff. But, what could they expect? They just expect, just all out, pure love for the game. You know what I mean? I just got back from Arizona. I spent almost a little bit less than a month in Arizona, away from my family, away from my daughter. You know what I mean? I'm training for this fight. The dude from Argentina, the guy I'm fighting, he's pretty tough. He has a lot of knockouts. He has only one loss. You know what I mean? So I take it very serious. And, I just want other people to feel that. When I fight, they're going to feel this pain. They're going to feel this, the ambition. And yeah, man, it's dark places. Get in and get out. And wow, just on to the next one. To change my life tour as well.
Ticketmaster.com or visit the U.S. Army box office at Jim Whalen Barwalk Hall. It's LaManna versus Vit. The middleweight WBA Fedelatin Championship title is on the line in the main event. Thomas Cornflake LaManna has been my guest here on the Elite Acura Hotline. Thomas, appreciate you jumping on. Best of luck in the fight tomorrow, next Saturday.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me as well. Thank you. Thank you as always for your support.
Absolutely. And Thomas Cornflake LaManna has joined us here on the Elite Acura Hotline. Visit Elite Acura during the Summer of Performance event located on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, online at eliteacura.com. All right, back to the text board on the other side. 609-403-0973. That is the text board. And also your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Tomorrow on ESPN Radio, we begin baseball's second half in New York City.
On its way, gone! A 3-run homer for Pete Alonso.
Can the struggling Mets get hot and make a run at October? They'll face the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are fighting for the top of the NL West.
Gone! Mookie Betts with the home run.
The Dodgers and Mets. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
Matt Blatt Kia wants to give you independence. Yes, independence. Like freedom from down payments.
I got approved with 0 down.
Freedom from high interest rates.
I got 2.49% for 72 months.
Freedom from overpriced new vehicles.
I got $6,000 off MSRP.
But most important, freedom from your old car.
I was told I was stuck in my lease. Matt Blatt Kia got me released.
Low 2.49% financing up to 72 months on every new EV in stock and 0 down on every Kia in stock. Plus, get $6,000 off MSRP on every new Kia EV in stock. Finance your future, not your past. Even first-time buyers can drive with peace of mind with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF, Kia Niro, and EV. 635 customer cash plus 2250 dealer discount off MSRP. Expires 8/5/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait, text PLACE to 200-300.
Do the bump, do the hustle, do the funky chicken. But whatever you do, get down to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. Right now, get a 3-piece world-famous chicken meal. White, dark, or chicken tenders with Western fries for just $6, with a portion of each chicken meal sale donated to local charities. Can you dig it? Plus, register to win world-famous chicken for a year. That's a 3-piece world-famous chicken meal with Western fries for only $6. Don't stop till you get enough. But hurry, Royal Farms Chicken Palooza is only for a limited time. So boogie on in for Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. Going on now, and it's just the way, you like it. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Sweepstakes ends August 31st, 2023. Chicken for a year prize to be awarded as 8 $100 Royal Farms gift cards. For details and official rules, visit royalfarms.com/chicken-palooza-sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Sponsored by Royal Farms.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Oh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
East Coast Roofing and Siding, protecting what you love and own. East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
Hi, I'm Larry Steitler.
And this is Jeff with East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows, New Jersey's most trusted home remodeling contractor for well over 40 years. Everybody knows that when you hire East Coast for your roofing, siding, window, or door project, you're getting the best products, the best installation, with the best lifetime warranties. But now for a limited time, when you hire East Coast, we are offering 12 months of no payments and no interest, along with a 15% instant rebate. All of this at last year's pricing. There's never been a better time to protect your family and home, so give us a call at 609-625-1900 or visit us at eastcoastroofing.com today to schedule your free consultation.
If you'll call,
we'll show up. East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
Now, with John.
Don't forget Game Night here on 973 ESPN FM, 973 ESPN mobile app being brought to you by my friends over at Jenkins. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your electric bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440 and visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. We got to get to the break there, but, I did want to say one little add-on to what we were talking with Thomas LaManna about, when there's a lot of local fighters who have been in this area, who have fought in this area, and that have been a part of different sports in this area. And, one of the things that's always interesting to see is when you have local fighters competing with each other. And for LaManna, he's at a different, as he said, he's at a point in his career. He's at a point in his career where he is someone who's like, hey, I fought a lot of different people. I've been in a lot of different situations. Whereas guys like Figueroa, he's still on the come up. So a fight against a guy like Len is honestly the best thing that could happen to him, win or lose, because he's going to fight a guy who is not a traditional boxer in the sense of, boxing pedigree. Lentz is a mixed martial artist. He's a guy who has his own gym. So he trains others and he trains. He's a different tier than what Figueroa has faced. As LaManna said, it's great to see these young guys get the opportunity to compete against a different level of competition. So thanks again to Thomas LaManna for joining us again. If you want tickets to next Saturday night's fights, go to Ticketmaster.com or visit the U.S. Army box office at Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall. Again, that's LaManna versus Vitt. Also, Figueroa versus Lentz. Some very interesting fights on the fight card next Saturday night at Boardwalk Hall. All right. You guys have about a few more minutes to chime in here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Phillies are currently nothing in the bottom of the second, so we'll see if they can get some runs on the board. I mean, talk about a contrasting pitching matchup. Yu Darvish is one of the more well-known pitchers in all of baseball. He's a very good pitcher. He's having a good year, and he's going against Christopher Sanchez, who I would argue that 95% of baseball fans have no idea who Christopher Sanchez even is, but he's fighting. It's one of those situations. It's very interesting. So we'll keep an update on the Phillies. But as I was saying before the break, that's a bad job by Hall. I mean, literally, Darvish just dropped one of those slow hanging breaking balls in the top of the strike zone, and Hall just watched it go by, assuming it might be too high when it was obviously dropping into the plate. You got to foul that off. I mean, but look, this is the reason why you want to get your lineup recalibrated, because you look at someone like Derek Hall. I don't need Derek Hall out there necessarily if I can play somebody else. And that's where putting Harper at first base comes in. Now you're asking less of Derek Hall and you're asking more of a guy at Harper who's a league MVP. And now you're asking a prospect in Rojas to just come in and fill the void that Christian Pache has left behind. I think that it's very, very interesting that the Phillies are kind of in a holding pattern right now, which makes you wonder, what is the big thing that they're going to do? Something to think about. What could or couldn't happen also involves the conversation with James Harden. Now, the news came out yesterday that James Harden still wants to play for the Clippers. He wants out of Philadelphia. And part of the reason why his relationship has soured with Daryl Morey. Here is the latest today from Adrian Wojnarowski on ESPN Television's NBA Today.
James Harden's situation, in terms of where we are in the calendar in July, it feels a lot like what Daryl Morey was doing with Ben Simmons a couple years ago. His asking price is exorbitant. Teams are not engaging the Sixers with the kind of asks Daryl Morey's asking for James Harden. And so that's where Daryl Morey always starts in trade talks, really high. And then over time, perhaps you work him back down. But like Ben Simmons, I think there's hope on the Sixers side that eventually, at some point, they can get James Harden on board about being in Philadelphia in the last year of this deal, this opt-in that he did at $35.5 million. Now, they may get to training camp and it may look different to Philly. They may have a James Harden who's not as enthusiastic about his return as they are. And then maybe they get more serious about it. But right now, I think the Harden talks, like Lillard, are going to linger into the summer.
And they're lingering for two reasons. One, Woj addressed expressly and specifically. The other reason, Woj hinted at but didn't really give all the necessary information, because, as a reporter, if you know information, you got to walk around what you can and can't say publicly. Like Brian Windhorst, when Wendy said this earlier this past week about Daryl Morey, he said it for a reason, and we'll get to the windy cut in just a minute, but let's talk about what Woj said overtly. Overtly, specifically, what he talked about was Morey's has an exorbitant asking price. Morey's trying to get the best value possible in a James Harden deal, and he's not going to take anything less than he should in that kind of deal. You don't trade a future Hall of Famer who just led the league in assists per game, who had 2 40-point games in the postseason. You don't trade him just for a handful of expiring contracts. That's not the trade. And that's what I've been trying to explain to everybody for weeks. Morey is not going to settle. And you heard Woj say, look, they're slow playing this. They're not going to just give up James Harden for nothing. They want a certain caliber of return on the investment. Part of that investment is how much assets they trade. You could argue, looking back on it, that while the James Harden deal was about getting rid of Ben Simmons and replacing him with James Harden, you still gave up a lot to get that. You gave up draft picks. You gave up Seth Curry, who would look really good on the team right now. You gave up Andre Drummond, who over the years has been the best backup center for Joel Embiid during his entire time in Philadelphia. So, frankly, if I'm the Sixers, I shouldn't just give up him for anything. I don't think that is the wrong thing to do. But what I do think is wrong is the part where Woj said, hey, if he has to come back to camp, he might not be too happy about it. Well, who cares what he's happy about? Look, at some point, people just got to grow up and appreciate what they have and stop complaining about what they don't have. I think James Harden is the kind of person who has spent too much time being focused on what he doesn't have and not enough time on what he does have. And I think that's what rubs a lot of Sixer fans the wrong way. So if he does have to come back in October and put the metaphorical tail between his legs, come back to the Sixers, then get over it. But I think that's where what Woj was saying is the second part of the conversation. Because I still go back to when Brian Windhorst said this on Get Up about Daryl Morey. Take a listen.
Remember, Daryl Morey has something up his sleeve. He is a very competent, very strategic executive. Don't make an assumption that he's ignoring Joel Embiid. Don't make any assumptions with him. I wish I could tell you exactly what he was planning. I know enough to know that he's got something going on and that he doesn't show anybody his hand.
So that's the other side of it. That's the part that Woj didn't say specifically, that, Morey's, one of his cards is, you know what, James, if I can't get what I want for you, I'll just bring you back. I don't care. I traded for you. I wanted you on this team. I built this team with the idea of James Harden and Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey playing together. That's part of what's up the sleeve, is that Daryl Morey has a set of cards in his hand. And one of those cards is the ultimate your move James Harden card. Because you know what? If they are forced to bring back James Harden and he doesn't want to play anymore, then James Harden will become the problem. And I don't think at the end of the day, James Harden wants to be a problem. I don't think James Harden James Harden, when he was in Houston, forced his way out because he felt the organization put him on the back burner. And they got rid of the guy that he was friendly with, Daryl Morey. And now he wants out of Philadelphia because he feels like his friend Daryl Morey let him down. When really James Harden has let himself down to an extent. At the end of the day, James Harden is in this predicament because he signed this contract the way it is last summer. James Harden is in this predicament because the Sixers basically told him last summer, we're not guaranteeing you anything. Look, handshake agreements are all nice. Hugs are all good. Having negotiations over a glass of wine is fun. But James Harden didn't play the long game. Daryl Morey did. Daryl Morey is basically schooling James Harden here. And he's saying to Harden and the teams, the Steve Rogers line from Captain America, I can do this all day. Daryl Morey is saying, I don't care how long this takes. We're going to do this. And I think that's a huge part of this conversation moving forward, is that the Sixers, they are going into this offseason, finishing this offseason off with an intention. We are trading for James Harden for a certain type of return. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-for-1, doesn't matter if there's 6 teams involved. Daryl Morey to get the value that he's looking for. Because at the end of the day, his job is to do what's best for the Philadelphia 76ers organization, not do what's best for the Clippers or any other NBA team. He'll get James Harden to the Clippers. I will guarantee you that much. But I feel pretty comfortable saying that the return is going to be Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, and the band of Misfit Toys.